Well, this is spring in middle Georgia, and obviously from what you saw here, we might need to talk about bicycle safety. Hi, I'm Jeff Cook, and this is Backyard Basics. Normally when spring rolls around, I talk about gardening, farming, things like that, but this month we're going to talk about something I don't really know much about, but I know a little bit more than the folks that just rode past on the screen. We're going to talk about bicycle safety, some things that folks need to know in middle Georgia to keep themselves safe and to be safe around vehicles and other people. All right, well, I wrote an article about this. It should be coming out in the paper pretty quick, but it's something that bugs me all the time. I tell people all the time, I ride a lot. I drive a lot. I drive almost over 4,000 miles a month. So I get to see a lot of people walking, a lot of people riding bikes, and a lot of people doing, the wrong thing. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about, the basics about some safety tips for bicycles and just pedestrians. The first thing to keep in mind is that the state views a bicycle as a vehicle. It's not a motorized vehicle, but it's a vehicle. That's one reason why you're not supposed to ride bicycles on highways or interstates. So the first thing, when you think about bicycles, basics, since they're treated like vehicles, you need to ride like you are a vehicle. And the first thing is to ride with the flow of traffic. And some people say, I don't want to ride with the flow of traffic because that's the traffic behind me, I can't see them. Well, you can't see them, but you can hear them, and you can make yourself visible to them. So that's the first thing with bicycles. You are considered a vehicle, so everything that vehicles have to do, you have to do. At a stop sign, you're supposed to stop and yield to, crossing traffic. At a yield sign, you're supposed to yield, just like a car would do. Traffic lights and things like that, you're supposed to do just the same, and you're supposed to treat pedestrians the same as a vehicle does. Touching on pedestrians real quick, as I said, bicycles are supposed to go with the flow of traffic. So here in the United States, we drive on the right side of the road. Bicyclists should ride on the right side of the road. Some things that many folks may not know. I know there's a lot of people that ride bicycles in big groups around us where I live, and they obviously don't know it, but it's actually against the law to ride a bicycle on a roadway more than 2 bicycles wide. So 2 people side by side is as wide as you can get, but you were supposed to stay as far to the right as possible. And it's the driver's responsibility driving a vehicle to actually pass the bicyclist and give them enough room to be safe. I think 3 feet is the official amount of space that is required for that to be considered safe. That being said, pedestrians should always stay on the other side of the road, facing traffic. That way the pedestrian can see traffic. And neither one of you, pedestrians or bicyclists, should switch sides of the road because you see a vehicle coming. That's not safe for anybody. Every time you cross the road, you put yourself in danger, whether you're crossing with a bicycle or you're crossing by foot. Every time you cross, there's one more chance you have to get hit, maybe not seeing a vehicle or something like that. So that's the basics. Bicycles are treated like vehicles. We're gonna I got some actors here, some good 4-H, Peach County 4-Hers. They're gonna be my actors, and we're gonna show the rights and wrong things to do with bicycle safety. The first thing we can do, let's look at my actors again. We got Keenan and Brian, Peach County 4-Hers, stellar students in the Peach County school system. We even have a published author over here. Keenan has written a book. But one thing you'll notice with them, how do you guys? 13 and 14 years old, riding bicycles all over Peach County. The first thing I can say, what do you notice that they're not wearing? They're not wearing helmets. It's actually a Georgia law that if you are under 16 years old and you're riding a bicycle on a public roadway, you are supposed to wear a helmet. I'm not trying to get them in trouble. I don't want anybody to come arrest them, but we're just doing this for the TV show. They actually wear helmets every time they ride. I told them not to bring them today, just for purposes of this video. Once again, I'm not doing this to get anybody in trouble, so we're just trying to make a point here. So, for one thing, since I said bicycles are treated like vehicles in the state of Georgia, right? So it's just like you're driving a car, but you got to pedal it down the side of the road. You're riding with traffic. Say you want to turn left. What are you going to do to signal the traffic behind you that you're turning left?
You raise your left hand.
Okay.
And turn it left.
You raise your left hand up and extend it to the left?
Yes.
Okay. So ding, 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 they got that one right. A left turn is extend your left hand out. That's your left turn signal, right? That's your blinker. Okay, but now say you're going to turn right. You want to turn right, how are you going to signal to the people behind you that you're going to turn to the right?
Raise your left hand.
Okay.
And extend it right.
Okay, so that is wrong. If this was Jeopardy, they would be, what's your answer, Brian?
It would be extend your left hand and drop it down.
Okay, so no. In that instance, Brian has just told him he's gonna stop. If you're gonna be turning right, because you're doing all your signals with your left hand, if you're gonna be turning right, you would take your right hand up and just do it like this. This is a right turn signal if you're on a bicycle. So we now know left, here's your left turn signal, right, right, and if you're gonna stop, what is it you do? Drop it down. That's your stop sign. Basic turn signals for a bicycle. You also use those if you have a vehicle with no lights on it. You can use the same signals with your hand outside the window. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
So if your first car, when you turn 16, doesn't have lights on it, you can at least be somewhat legal by using these hand signals we taught you today, right?
Right.
Okay. You can smile. Are you supposed to film him that way? She's here like, what are they doing? So it's obvious what Brian's doing wrong here. You know, he's not staying close to the right side. He was jamming to some music, listening to his earbuds, so he can't hear traffic behind him. He might be on the right side of the road sometime, but the rules and the laws state that you're supposed to stay as close to the right-hand side of the road as you can. And if there is a bicycle lane, you're supposed to stay in that bicycle lane. And also, if you are in a vehicle, you're supposed to respect that bicycle lane. And like I said earlier, you know, give that bicyclist enough room to ride their bicycle safely down the right-hand side of the road. I don't say don't film them too much. So pretty obviously, Keenan's on the wrong side of the road, in the middle of the road. So obviously he's doing wrong. And he's not stopping for pedestrians. The pedestrian always has the right of way, especially when they walk across the road in a crosswalk. He didn't look for the pedestrian, and he was riding on the wrong side of the road. And he was supposed to turn without giving a hand signal. But no, we're being a little bit silly, but obviously, riding on the right side of the road, watching out for pedestrians is a very important thing when you're talking about safety, bicycle safety or pedestrian safety. Okay, so the fact that in our reenactment, dramatization, whatever you want to call it, Keenan almost hit me, made me think of one more thing when it comes to bicycle safety. Is a safety checklist, you know, what you should look for in your bicycle before you get out, especially riding on a street, busy area like Fort Valley. So guys, what are some things that are safety features of your bikes? First off, what kind of brakes do you have? Hopefully you have brakes on your bike. You didn't try and stop when I walked down the road, but
I did.
You do have brakes, right?
Yes.
And how do they work?
You
push backwards on the pedal?
No, you just
push backwards on the pedal.
Right.
Okay. Push backwards on the pedal. Okay. So brakes. You got to make sure your brakes work before you leave your house, right?
Yes,
you check every time.
Yes, sir.
What kind of brakes do you have?
I have trigger brakes right here.
Trigger brakes for front and back?
Front and back.
Is it important to make sure they both work?
Yes, sir. My right brakes are a little shoddy, but
they're a little shoddy. But if you apply both brakes, then your bicycle will stop.
Yes, and I will flip over.
So if you apply your front brake too hard, have you ever flipped over front?
Almost.
Okay. So what are some other? Let me ask you guys this: do y'all ever ride your bicycles at night?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes.
So you do have a flashing light to let vehicles know?
It's on the front.
A flashing light, not a reflector.
Oh.
Okay, so you have a reflector here, you have a red reflector on the back. Why do you think that reflector on the back is red?
So the cars can know that you're riding your bike.
The cars will see you, and red means
Stop,
slow down, be careful, warning, right?
Right.
Okay. And you have your white reflector on the front so that vehicles coming the other way at least know you're on the other side of the road, right?
Yes.
Correct.
And if they see you all out in the middle of the road listening to music, jamming, they know to avoid you, right? Okay, but if you do ride a bicycle at night, it is a law that you need to have a flashing, blinking, some sort of light like that to let folks know. And what are some other things that you could think of that you might want to wear other than your helmets with reflectors on it if you're riding your bicycle night, day, whenever? What are some things?
Shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads.
Like football shoulder pads.
Not football shoulder pads.
So Keenan is expecting to get run over, and he needs some shoulder pads and a helmet. You mean like elbow pads, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, so elbow. So we're gonna have next month we're gonna have an anatomy class. Shoulder pads or elbow pads, maybe some knee pads in case you do fall. How about some brighter colored clothing? If you're riding your bicycle in the dark or at night, a brighter colored shirt, a vest with some reflectors on it, something like that. They even make shoes now with reflectors on it, something like that. Anything, if you think about it really, when you're walking on the road, when you're riding a bicycle on the road, anything that's gonna make you more visible to passersby, even if you just have a helmet, a headlamp that has a flashlight on the back or a flashlight on the front will make you more safe, more visible. Anything else on your bicycle safety feature wise? Y'all, what about tire? You also do have reflectors on your wheels, in the spokes. You have reflectors on your. So it's always good to make sure you have plenty of reflectors, and you're not actually supposed to remove the reflectors from most bicycles. So it's very important to know. What are some other things you might be able to put on your bicycle, safety wise? A horn.
A horn, yes,
Yeah.
to let cars know that.
Yeah, let people know. Let people know you're coming. If they get a little close to you. Right?
Or if you use a belt.
A bell would be more just to let people know in a parking lot, hey, I'm here. Or if you got ice cream or something like that. But I don't know that's going to warn anybody.
Yeah, I just use my voice.
You just yell?
Yep.
Okay. I know a lot of folks out there, but I've got a 6-year-old son that wants a full-size bicycle, and I can't explain to him why he can't use one. But you really need to make sure that your bicycle fits you. You know, a lot of bicycles have a lower cut bar right here. But for a shorter person, you can imagine that when you stop a bicycle, unless you're really good and you can balance on 2 wheels for a prolonged amount of time, you need to be able to put your feet down. So if you have to stop, you got to be able to put your feet down pretty quick and stabilize your bicycle. My son wants a full-size bike, and he's about this tall. You can imagine that if he might be able to pedal one if we get the seat low enough. But if he comes down to where he's going to where he has to try and stop, put his feet down, he's not going to be able to put his feet down. He's just going to fall over. So every time he stops. All right, Keenan brought up a good question. Is it illegal to ride with a flat tire? No, it's not. And honestly, in most places, they're not going to probably pull over a bicyclist for doing much unless they're just doing something really silly. But if you think safety-wise, you know, a pumped-up tire, a flat tire, you have less control. You're more wobbly. You have less control. It's more wobbly. You can't turn as quick. You can't stop as quick. So flat tire, anything on that bicycle that's not optimal is going to make it where it reacts differently, so that you're not going to be able to stop as quick, you're not going to be able to turn as quick, so you make yourself more vulnerable to accidents. And if a tire is flat and you do, you know, Brian, I'm not going to say, he doesn't ride real fast. He's not in a race to get here. I've never seen him like trying to chase a car down. But if you were to ride with a flat tire really fast, turn a corner, your whole tire could come off. If your tire comes off, then you're in some real trouble, because then you're just riding on metal, the metal on the road. You're gonna fall over. You're gonna do more than flip over the handlebars. You're gonna really crash. So I mean, that would be the biggest thing there, is make sure you got to make sure everything works right, so you can keep yourself safe. And there was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and I can't remember.
And
you got it right on here.
Yes.
And then you started cranking it, and it slowly, yeah.
And you make sure it aligns.
Right.
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 And you just crank it like that.
Okay, watch out.